I know that programming is not technically an artistic art depending on how you look at it, because I personally think that anyone who programs video games is an artist, okay? Hi everyone, Shawnee here. Thank you so much for joining me again for another week of Seeing One, 2. Alright, so last week, if you weren't here and you haven't watched the video, I discuss how I'm using Kanban, which is an agile methodology, to keep me organized in addition to my bullet journal, because I haven't let that go. So if you want to check that out and see how I'm implementing it to achieve my goals and to keep me organized, you want to go ahead and check out that video up here. All right, so thank you again for joining me yet again. Another week gone by. And so let me talk through this, because let me tell you, when you try to switch your brain from doing one thing and into another, it can sometimes be a challenge. It can be overwhelming for sure, especially once I got organized and started using my Kanban board. I realized how much I needed to do and kind of how far behind I actually am, which can be overwhelming for sure. So once I figured out what I needed to do and my goals, one of my goals was to actually complete a course that I had found on Pearl's site. So I have finished that course within the deadline that I gave myself. Well, yeah, basically. So I wanted to finish that course by the end of the month, end of April, and I did. On the day, 30th, I was done. And it was actually really an interesting intro into programming for Android, which in itself is definitely nothing like iOS for sure. But at the same time, it was good to learn and discover how another platform actually attacks the app development thing. I don't know if I'm actually saying that right, but it was interesting. So the course I took up with Pearl's site was actually for a platform that was developed by Google called Flutter, and they used the programming language Dart. And I like the concept. I will have to learn a little bit of Kotlin, I think it's called, for Android, but I have that on my to-do list, and I'll get there when I get there. But I like Flutter in the sense that it is a framework that's built by Google, and Google actually does use it for, I believe, Google Ads, and there's something else they use it for. I think maybe the weather. Don't know. Anyway, it was a really good intro, and I think I'm going to use this, even though it is a pretty new framework. I like the fact that I don't have to worry about the screen sizes, because there's tons of screen sizes for Android. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't go into Android development, just for that fact, is the sheer number of screen sizes that you have to you have to code for or be aware of. Now, another thing that I kind of discovered along the way is that as I was in the middle of the actual course, about a week and a half ago, I was just starting to get overwhelmed by how much I didn't know and trying to be okay with feeling like a noob again. And I think that's the hardest thing, when you feel really comfortable with a language, like I do with Swift. I feel really comfortable with Swift. It makes sense to me, and I like how clean it is. And then switching over and trying to learn a new one, a new programming language that its syntax is different and how they handle certain aspects of, say, data structures and things like that is definitely a learning curve for me. Seeing how Dart handles classes, and then getting used to what mixins are, which I'm still trying to figure that out. And then also how they use enums. It's just, okay, that's peculiar. I have to do an extension on enum. All right. Now, once I got done doing the course and getting back into the groove of programming again. I realized that I was kind of burning my candle at both ends. After, I want to say, about halfway through the week or so, I was like, okay, I have to somehow figure a way to get over this feeling of being overwhelmed. Because basically I wasn't really focusing so much on what was important. And the thing is whenever you feel stressed out or overwhelmed, what have you, you usually look at your lifestyle. Are you maintaining a healthy lifestyle? Are you eating right? Are you working out, exercising, meditating, whatever it is that chills you out? You're supposed to do. And so I reevaluated what I was not doing, and realized that I do need to focus more on exercising a little bit more. So I've been doing that, and then also meditating. Yes, Zen. But another thing I did to kind of get my creative juices flowing, because being new at something, you do have to get your brain ready to be okay with not knowing everything right now. And one of the things I did was I indulged in a little bit of a creative endeavor. And I think it's important to indulge in some type of creative endeavor, whether it's art, whether you like to play music or make music, or you have a craft that you like to do, for example, knitting or crocheting. Whatever gets you to take some raw material and create something is actually loosely related to coding in a way. Whereas with coding, you have, the code, and then your brain, you have to solve some problem. And you have to do it in the most efficient way so that it makes sense to you when you come back to it after a while, or to someone else who has to read it. And you're saying, well, how does art or craft relate to programming? Well, basically, it's all about problem solving. Artistic creations are born through the act of solving a problem. It's basically you're asking yourself, how do I turn this ball of yarn and a pair of knitting needles into a scarf? Or how do I take a pen and a pad of paper and turn it into a drawing? So whatever your creative, artistic hobby is, whatever it might be, I suggest indulging it in a little bit, especially if you find yourself stuck on a concept in programming, or you can't figure out how to implement a feature in your application. Creating something artistic, whatever that might be, requires the ability to step back and think. And you can apply that indirectly to whatever your problem you're trying to solve or whatever you're trying to learn. Because basically creating something requires you to understand the problem, which is some end result, whether it's a drawing or whether it's a scarf, and brainstorming the best way in order to get to that end goal. And I know that programming is not technically an artistic art, depending on how you look at it, because I personally think that anyone who programs video games is an artist. Okay, but most of us, I like to think, are functional programmers. I consider myself a functional programmer. No, it might not be a video game that grosses, millions and billions of dollars, but at the same time, what I try to create is something that is functional, that is well thought out, and that the code is readable and efficient, right? But I also consider myself, even though I do craft, I do knit, I consider myself a functional knitter. I typically just knit gloves and scarves and the occasional sweater when I'm feeling extremely motivated. But the thing is why not indulge in your hobby, your creative hobby? It not only releases stress, but it also helps your brain to rethink and to apply that creative juices to whatever you're trying to do or build. Anyway, so that is my take for this week. Hopefully you found it entertaining or informative. If so, give it a like. And if you want to keep up to date on when I release new videos, you do have to subscribe and hit that little bell down below. And if you would, please share this video with someone who you think might actually benefit or find it actually funny. That works too. All right, friends, till next time.